Okay, so we're doing our rewatch of the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 49 Patriots Seahawks. You can follow our companion podcast episode, Bigger Than the Game with Deremy and Jose, where we talk about the build up in this game and talk about a lot of the legacies. But we wanted to look at this fourth quarter, this controversial and epic fourth quarter, right, Jose, and break it down for ourselves, like looking at it and seeing 9 years later how we feel about this great game.
Right. So as you can see here, they're up 10, just like we talked about the podcast. Like, that's at this moment, at this time in the Super Bowl era, this is the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. Nobody ever came back from down 10 in the fourth quarter. So as you can see here, they were down 10, but Brady hit Amendola there. Beautiful play there. And they just came right down, 9 plays, 68 yards, and came for the score, Deremy. And again, like what we were talking about on the podcast, it's like, man, like, where was this Legion of Boom defense at?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's they weren't here on this drive for sure. It was, Brady came and marched them right down the field. Look at this beautiful throw, man. Boom. Right on the money, man.
Well, this is great, though. I'm glad we're doing this rewatch because there's always one, right? And Byron Maxwell, I never understood. I thought he sucked, wasn't good. And you saw right there, he just lets Amendola go free. And they're kind of blaming it on Earl Thomas. Could have been up on him more. But that was really Maxwell just let him go free, not even really doing anything with Danny Amendola, and easy touchdown. Brady made a great throw.
Yeah, beautiful throw. And then Maxwell wasn't even covering anybody,
No.
Like, so here we go with Seattle with the ball now at this point, and 7 minutes left. They're still up 3. They come out throwing, they 3 and out. We get the ball right back to Tom Brady, and he's got that look, man, walking the sidelines, man. And this was there too. That was there.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously Marshawn was a hell of a runner in between the tackles, but Marshawn can come out the backfield too.
Yes, he had nice hands, man. He can catch the ball. He made a lot of big plays out of the backfield for them this year.
I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he had tremendous impact in the 2010s, man. He has so many big plays, some of the best runs of all time. You can't talk about the 2010s without talking about the Beastquake and all of that stuff. So yeah, he's got the numbers to back it. That's Gronk, man. Ugh, big hit right there by Earl Thomas, man. He stuck him. He felt that one.
We talked about it on the pod, but this is an epic. It's a heavyweight match. Look at that. Cam Chancellor on Gronk. I was so hyped for this matchup, Jose.
Yeah, that was a great route too, man.
Like all Sunday, I was just like, I can't wait to see these two guys going head to head, and it didn't disappoint.
No. Damn, Earl Thomas smacked the shit out of him. Such another one of those careers that we don't really talk about that ended tragically with injury, man, with the neck injury and stuff. But man, he would have been a Hall of Fame player, Cam Chancellor.
I agree. He was such a great player. So fun to watch too.
Yeah.
But man, you're just seeing Brady do work here. It's magical what he's doing, just marching up and down the field on this D.
Yeah, and then if you looked at it right there, that was good defense right there. But you see them defensive ends, and we touched on it during the podcast. At this point in time, this defensive line is just they're just trying to get to Brady. You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously that's what they have to do. But sometimes you can do that, and you can do that undisciplined, man. And that was definitely talked about on the podcast. And now we're going to actually watch that and see it come out, just so we can show you all. But those defensive ends are going straight up field, and Tom Brady's going to be able to step up on a lot of these throws.
And they showed overrated Richard Sherman too.
Not a Hall of Famer.
He'll get in, but he shouldn't be.
Yeah,
he shouldn't be, but he will get in. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion, but not that he wasn't a great player for a little bit, but it just wasn't that long of a run, and I never felt he was the best corner anyway.
Oof, you can't put a linebacker on him for sure.
And 1,000% of the time now, they are going to throw it right there.
I tell you what, though, Gronk and Brady over Mahomes and versus Mahomes and Kelsey. I think Mahomes and Kelsey will surpass it. I enjoyed watching Brady and Gronk more as a duo, though. For me,
Yeah, why is that? I'm
I
curious.
just think the way it was just done, like the way a lot of Kelsey's and Mahomes, he's kind of like free in space and stuff like that. Gronk was just like unguardable, and it
Yeah,
was
it was
just
them seam routes are unstoppable, man.
yeah, and it just seemed like he's breaking tackles, and it was just like it was the timeliness of it. Kelsey and Mahomes is fun. That has like a video game feel, where this is just like you know what's coming, but you just can't stop these two.
Yeah.
Man, what a drive!
Yeah, 2 minutes left, man. Brought him right down the field, man. Beautiful route by Edelman. He's calling for the push off, but what a great route, man.
But you know what? I wonder if they show it again because I don't know if he did push off or not. But you know what
It
I
was more
like
of like a
about it?
swim. Like,
What I'm not seeing.
here you
Let's
go.
see.
Nah,
Oh, that's nothing.
that's not a push. He just beat.
Good no call.
Well, maybe that first push, that's what he's talking about. But they're within 5 yards, you know?
You hear Collinsworth. No push off, no foul. I'm with Chris.
Yeah.
You know, I like
and that's
though.
that's a big injury. Go ahead, Devin.
Oh, I was just gonna say I like what you're not seeing in these Super Bowls later on. It's close. Let the players play. Let's not throw
Right.
out the flag, throw out the laundry, and like affect the game. Refs, like you let that play. I like that.
So here we go, Deremy. We got 2 minutes and 2 seconds left, right? Seattle down by 4. Watching this game, right? Did you feel like, all right, like Russell Wilson, he's got an opportunity to bring him down the field?
Watching this game back in February 1st, 2015, I felt it was the Patriots' time.
Right.
I felt like I felt momentum because we kind of, it's a highlighted package, but we saw momentum went strictly to New England in the fourth quarter. So I thought for sure Tom Brady gets his fourth at this point.
Look at that catch by Lynch, man. Beautiful catch. Soft hands, man. Beautiful throw by Wilson there.
He did a great job there. At this point, I'm still like in the Patriot. I think they're going to win. That's what I'm thinking.
But throw by throw, man. It's changing my mind for sure.
Yeah, it's getting. I'm like, I don't know. It's getting closer.
Yeah, and this is like we're not looking at Russell Wilson as this great quarterback yet. You know, yes, he was really good, but we were, he threw for 3,500 yards, a little bit over 3,500 yards, but he ran for like 849 this year. So he was still. Oh, here we go.
Look at this, wow, Jose. You got to get that is crazy. You got to give that play some props, man.
I gave it a top 10 prop. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
I think that's better than the Tyree catch.
If they would have won, that. I don't know, man. It's not really a catch. Like
look at the concentration,
dude,
the presence of mind.
It hit him in his leg. There's no concentration. He was laying on the floor. I don't even think he was looking.
He was. Look at.
Nah, look at his. Dude. It's a great play, man. I'm not taking it away from Curse, man. Look, Brady knew it right there. It's done. We're done.
Here's where I thought the Patriots were done. I think that's an amazing catch, though. I think that's more skill than I thought it was.
Nah, not me.
Because he kept the focus.
Here you go. I think this is a good angle because it's a timeout, so we're going to have some time.
He's still looking at it.
He's not looking. It's literally fell between his legs, man.
But then he kept his focus after that, though.
Okay.
You got to admit, though.
It's a great play.
A lot of times, all right, he was looking at it.
This is more, he actually caught the ball, and the dude was knocking it out of his hands, and then he pinned it to his helmet. Because this is a catch. If he doesn't get hit, it's a catch. Are you kidding me? Like, that's skill. This right here, like, it literally landed on his between his legs
The fact
almost.
that he still, most people would not have kept going with that.
I give
Most people
him
would have gave up on that.
Right, I give him that great concentration. And it's a great
R.I.P.
play. Like
Paul
I'm not
Allen.
I'm not like shitting on it, but it's to me it's more luck than skill.
I put that up there. That gives, if the Seahawks would have won this game, I think that gives the Tyree catch a lot more run for its money.
I agree.
I think it's close. Like it's a good debate, I'd say, if the Seahawks win. Here we go.
Yeah, 6-yard line. Nice run, man. Right to the 1-yard line, man. So I'm watching this 2015 Jose, right? Watching this game, like, all right, like they're just gonna same play pretty much, man. I would just run that play, Deremy. I don't
But
know
look
what you
at it.
think.
They didn't take a timeout.
Ah, what a great interception, dude. Great call by Al Michaels too.
So, like we said in the show, the podcast, it was second down. They had practiced. They had their jumbo squad in there. New England has 2 timeouts, and it was gutsy. People were saying they should call a timeout to save some clock. It's such a gutsy move by him. Look at Brandon Browner, that strong corner.
Yeah, you did a great job on the podcast, Deremy, breaking this play down. And, you did point out Browner, kind of stifling Curse there and allowed Malcolm Butler to jump the route, which he did such a great job, man. And he was patient enough to let the play develop in front of him and then just, boom, beat him to the spot. It was just a great play. You got to feel terrible for Russell Wilson there, man.
Man.
And now is he second-guessing himself?
I say, yeah.
And I want to see if they show this next play here, because you see where the interception happened, and he was down within the 1-yard line, I believe. And now, but New England, they have to run it out of the end zone. You know what I mean? Like they have to call a play here. If they get a safety, you give the ball to Seattle back, maybe midfield.
Yeah.
This whole thing can be different. So during the podcast, Deremy, you did a great job talking about how Belichick was talking about this defense and how undisciplined they are. If they can show this here, this next kneel down, that stands out a lot as well. So we're going to give it a little bit of time here, but we can see if that comes out. But just kind of talk about it a little bit there. I mean, like the defense and what we were talking on the podcast, where how undisciplined they were playing towards the end of this game.
Yeah, you kind of could see that, like we had talked on the show, on the podcast, and even on this YouTube watch, that like the D line was not playing their lane; they're just going up down the field, and here we are. Like you're right, they're at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, a little bit in the 1-yard line. So if you stuff them here, get a safety, very interesting ending. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, because they can't kneel it down, they have to run a play. God, what a great interception. So here we go, an opportunity to make another big play for this defense. And I get it's the end of the game, and they're probably down and out a little bit, but this right here, man. What are they doing, dude? Like, what
Look how
are
bad
they doing?
That's Michael Bennett.
What is he doing, man? That literally
sealed the game.
Yeah.
More than anybody else, 10 times this year, and in this critical last chance.
There you go, Chris.
He does again.
He was the most penalized defensive lineman offsides 10 times this year. And Chris Collinsworth just said it. The most critical time, he does it again. Like, what is he doing? Is he trying to jump the, like... That's just...
Look at him. He's just, like, hovering over, just, like, hanging, like...
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick knows after
and he's probably echoing what you were talking about there.
He knew it. Now look at him.
Right.
After all the stuff of these 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, now they got all this fight in them. Where was this fight when they were up by 10 points?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Jose, this was the nail in the coffin on me not liking this team, was what I saw right here.
Yeah,
because I'm like,
this
take
is
your loss
terrible.
the right way. Like you lost.
And they're
You
the Super Bowl
lost.
champs. They're defending
Yeah,
champs.
yeah. And this for me was the equivalent of the bad boys walking off the floor in '91. This was just you just went out classless, man.
Yeah.
Like you're defending champs, you go out the right way. You blew it on the 1 yard line. Like be mad at your teammate. Be mad at yourselves. Like Michael Bennett, that was so clear.
Right.
Because you brought up the good point. You get that safety, 20 seconds left. You have a chance. You're down 2 points.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is get into the field goal range. See
Yeah.
if Hashka can make it.
I think they have 2 timeouts or 1 timeout. Not showing it there, but I believe they have 1 timeout left. Yeah, there you go.
That was their final timeout.
So you get the ball, and you one play, your field goal range. This whole thing can be different. No, they're throwing them out and stuff. Embarrassing.
Bruce Irvin, who was a good player too, but
there you go, Deremy. It's over.
My so far, I mean, and counting, it's for me the best Super Bowl I've seen. And I think it's fitting. I think it is the best game of the 2010s, and I think it's the most important game of the 2010s. Super Bowl 49. It's the best one that I've seen so far. I love this game.
Great game. Definitely a great game. And I know we were talking about it during the podcast. And thank you all for jumping over with us and joining us here on YouTube. We wanted to make sure we kind of looked at that fourth quarter and, just broke it down a little bit more. Like we went into it on the podcast, but we definitely want to dive into it with some visuals as well. But just to kind of wrap up this great game and, talk about these two great teams and, just who's to blame, what went wrong, what happened afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like how the Patriots continued to ascend. And then this Seahawks run was pretty much over at that point,
It shows just how people don't understand that it's similar to so much in life, how fragile this unit is when it comes to sports, when it comes to team sports, and that one decision, one bad game, if you're not tight enough, and I don't mean everyone has to be best friends, but if you're not tight enough and have respect or have that right leadership who knows at the right time what to say to bring the guys back in, a potential dynasty is blown. And that's what you saw at the end. And I'm not talking about Russell Wilson's interception. I'm talking about how they acted afterwards. You saw a dynasty just because let's be real, like we said before, this team, if you look at it, Russell Wilson's young, Marshawn still got it. That defense is young. Why can't they go back the next year? 3 Super Bowl appearances in a row, go get their second one, and we're still talking about Seahawk dynasty maybe. They could have done that.
Yeah, and I also look at Pete Carroll there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's like this player's coach and everybody loves him, but he let a lot of these guys do what they wanted to do, you know what I'm saying, like on the field. And sometimes that eventually is going to bite you in the ass, and I think that's what happened here with this team where, they were so used to just doing what they wanted, playing aggressive and being this like bully type of defense. And, they got bullied this game a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, and at the end there, they made a big mistake. They cannot it just hurt them so bad, right? That they had to show everybody that no, these guys, we're going to push them around here at the end to show them who's a tougher guy. And people were just looking at them like they're idiots. You know what I mean? Like, and you just lost in the Super Bowl because of a big mistake that you guys made. And the offense made a big mistake as well. But the way you played in this fourth quarter is prime reason why you guys are losing this game. And now you're showing your toughness. That looks lame to me.
Jose, I'm gonna say something here, and it may not for you or for those watching us, it may not make sense, but hear me out because I know Pete Carroll. He came from college. He was in the NFL before with the Patriots in the '90s. He always had that rah high energy level, and you can't say a lot of college coaches failed to the NFL. He won a Super Bowl. He got to 2 Super Bowls. So I'm not saying he's a failure, but in a way, I feel like. And it may say he won a Super Bowl with this group. He was the wrong coach for this group, though.
I agree. I
Like,
agree. Like he put him in positions. Yes, he was a great defensive mind,
yeah,
but he was the wrong guy for this group, man.
because it is not fair. But I'm just like, you needed. This is the kind of guys they needed. A discipline that they needed a guy to snap them back in shape here, like to get focused again. Like they needed that. And I'm not trying to. It's not maybe not right, but that Jimmy Johnson, that Parcells kind of guy, that the like,
Imagine Belichick with this defense.
yeah, like it. And to me, not only that, let's even look at the loss, right? So let's say you have one of those other coaches, and they could lose this game.
Mm-hmm.
What happens at the end, and I think what happens in the future doesn't happen
Right.
if you don't have, hey, it's Turnover Tuesday and Taco Wednesday, whatever he's doing and stuff. Pete Carroll, rah rah. Let's just go on to tomorrow. No, you need to address the elephant in the room here. You need to get these guys in line and being like, hey, maybe we don't have the right guys here to be focused, disciplined. We got some pieces, but let's move some stuff around and let's try to get this together. You can't go back to Turnover Tuesday and Motivation Monday and stuff. Like, you need something different.
And how does he fix it? He just gets rid of some of these guys. You know what I
Pretty
mean?
much,
Like,
yep.
that's how he fixed it. Like, that divide that happened after this season, it started this offseason, all those comments from the defense that they should have ran the ball there. And look, again, like, I think a lot of America, a lot of people watching this episode, Deremy, agree with that. Like, I agree with that. If you listen to the pod, like, you'll know my stance on it, and Deremy's stance on it, where he thinks that was the right call. I think they should have ran the ball. But again, I don't think there's a wrong answer there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But instead of him trying to address that, and that what happened afterwards, it was a huge divide between the defense and the offense. Now, you see that a lot on teams with great defenses and maybe like subpar offenses where the defense is doing so much and you guys can't score. Like, but this team has Russell Wilson, Marshawn Lynch. You had a young Doug Baldwin who was coming into his own. Like, they're going to eventually get like a Tyler Lockett now getting added onto that. Like, this offense was not terrible. You know what I mean? Like, and it was getting better and better and better to the point where now the offense at a couple years later is the main focus on the team, and the defense is not. A solid coach, and again, Pete Carroll was a really good coach. Like, a solid coach handles this situation and does not let it play out to the way it did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'll sound weird because they won a championship together. So people were like, how can you say that, Deremy? Like, he wasn't the right coach for this team. But I just think with the personality, this team had potential to be a dynasty. And it was blown opportunities. And I think because you didn't have someone who ran that a tight ship. With some teams, every team is built differently. I think certain teams, you have the leadership there, whether even with the players, where that leadership of the players, they help police the rest of the guys, and they can kind of police themselves pretty good, and you don't have to. This group was a very talented group, and they were definitely hardworking, but they were egotistical and they were undisciplined, and they kind of sometimes that ego got in the way of their great talent, I believe, at times. So I think that's just what, like, you needed someone to kind of bring the focus back in, because a lot of times I remember certain games watching the Seahawks where you'd have, Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor going at it, and they, almost fights breaking out between the teammates. Like, needed someone to kind of really reel them in, and Pete Carroll wasn't that guy.
I agree. So I wanted to bring it back to New England now, right? A little bit. And because again, they won this game, right? And I meant to ask you on the podcast, but I'm glad I got a chance to do it now here. So obviously New England played in 10 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowls, something like that, or 8 of them, whatever it was.
Yeah,
and,
9.
9. They lost 3, right? And was this the best team that New England played in all those Super Bowls?
Oh, the best opponent they faced?
Yes.
That's a good question. I would say,
I mean, because you got St. Louis, right? The first one. You got Carolina. I think this team is better than Carolina that year.
I was thinking the greatest show on turf, and
Yeah.
I think this is the best thing they played, though.
Yeah, I think overall this is the best team as well. I know that St. Louis Rams team, everybody was looking at them and they were so amazing, but this team was good, man. Seahawks were good,
You
and
can look at that Atlanta team too.
yeah, good point. I didn't even have Atlanta in my mind when I was
That
thinking about
offense
this.
for Atlanta was dynamic that year, and the defense had some pieces. They were pretty good. Like that Atlanta team was. I might even say Seattle. I could put the greatest show on turf third, maybe.
So you would put that Atlanta team over
I
the
could put
greatest
that
show.
Atlanta team over. Yeah,
That
I
Atlanta
really
team was
could.
good, and it's great coaching, right? They had Shanahan there, and we see what Shanahan is doing today. You know, he's the coach now. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody's looking at and plucking assistants out of that franchise. So, and you have Matt Ryan and Julio, and you got a lot of great players there.
I think the 0-1 Rams the defense
Yeah,
it's
that defense was not, especially that second run, was not
yeah
as good.
I just think it was still impressive because who the Patriots were, but it's like looking back on it, it's not as surprising as the Patriots did it. Where what the Patriots did against these two teams, Seattle and Atlanta, still more surprising. And then, like years later, you're like, wow, look at the talent on those teams
Right.
and how well those teams were. Matt Ryan was the MVP that year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I think, which is kind of what I wanted to ask you. I'm glad you brought this up. There's two separate dynasties for the Patriots: the 2000s, that first three, and then the 2010s. Some people call them one. I think they're two separate ones.
Yeah, they're two separate. Yeah.
Which one was better, the 2000s or the 2010s, as a whole?
I think the better team was the 2000s. But I think the second run for me was more surprising. I'll say that. Because I just feel like that early 2000s team had a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Like defensively, they were great. They had Hall of Famers defensively. And I know they had Tom Brady, and he was more of a game manager that first two Super Bowl runs. But, you eventually get Corey Dillon, like guys like that. You know what I mean? Like those are great players as well. This second run, especially like this one here, I could have seen them losing this Super Bowl and would have been like, all right, like I think Seattle maybe was the better team, right? And then talk about that Atlanta one. Atlanta beats something. It's just like, all right, we just talked about how good we felt Atlanta was that year, and them losing to the Eagles, and I don't know. I think that first one for me was the better team. I think that's what I would go with. They won more, obviously, the second one, but I think that first one was more impressive for me.
Yeah, I think the second's more impressive, but the first is a better team.
Yeah, overall.
Yeah, first is a better team, but the second, Brady is better.
Yes.
And they're in more. It's just there's more miraculous stuff happening out there.
Yeah,
like that's just crazy. I mean, so and there's games where like, oh, they shouldn't really be here. Like, those championship games you look at when they in 2017 they beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville really should have beaten them.
Yeah, that defense was great.
And then you look at 2018. If D Ford's on sides in Arrowhead, the Chiefs.
Lost.
Mahomes should have went to a Super Bowl that year. Mahomes and Kelsey. So I mean, they had some breaks there. Like it really was like they were piecemealing some stuff.
Yeah, and even that Super Bowl when they lost to the Eagles and Nick Foles, that defense was terrible. That New England defense was terrible.
And Brady threw for 525 yards, something like that.
Yeah.
And they lost.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad they lost. Like as you can see our shirts.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that and all he had was Gronk out there. Edelman's hurt. Brandon Cooks got knocked out, and they still should have won that game. You could say So it's just impressive what they did in that second run. That put them in GOAT status.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the two Brady and Belichick.
Absolutely.
And not just because they won, like the final result, but how they did it was like that's where it was like. 'Cause a lot of times, a lot of these games we're naming, most of the time, this may be one of the few like this one where it's like that's pretty even.
Yeah.
Everybody, I'm like, this other team is a better team, but they got Brady and Belichick. That's
Yep.
all I was like. They got Brady and Belichick.
Yep.
But other than that, I'm like, Kansas City is better or Atlanta is better.
Yeah.
Like,
The Rams, when he went with McVay,
yeah,
the Rams were a better team, you know? It's crazy stuff, man. What Kansas City is doing right now, I'm sitting here thinking like we're never going to see this again. But what Kansas City is doing it's impressive, man.
It's hard because this will drop after, so we don't know who's going to. We don't.
Right.
You know, people watching will know what happened. Kansas City, what they're doing. This is going to be if Kansas City can beat Baltimore. We need to do like an emergency YouTube because this legacies will change.
Right.
Even without the I don't care what happens in the Super Bowl. This will be Andy Reid's best win. It'll be Mahomes' best win. It'll be like, whoa, like you can start calling this guy the next Brady if they win this game on Sunday. So
yeah, I agree. It's insane. Like this is his first road game. Like was it against the Bills? It's nuts, dude. Was it 6 straight championship games or 5 or something like that?
6.
Like yeah, it's
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
It's insane. It's insane.
I'll say this though. That game was interesting. That game was a lot of fun. That Chiefs-Bills game. I love divisional. That's one of my favorite weekends.
That's a great weekend.
Yeah, wild card is like cool. The divisional round is awesome. I had so much fun watching that game though.
Yeah, it was a great game.
The game was great, but we have not taught, and shame on me because those who listen and know, watching Jason Kelsey in that suite
nuts.
was awesome. I loved it. I thought that was, and I was on Twitter just getting on the different views, and I just had so much fun watching. Like we never talked about it. Podcasters to talk about other podcasts. How do you feel about the new heights and the Kelsey boom?
It's great. You know what I mean? Like it's big time. And again, like there's certain tests when it comes to sports, and I put the mom test to it, and Shannon's mom knows who they are and knows about this podcast. She watches it from time to time while she's working. She's like, "Did you know that?" And I'm like, "Yes, I know that." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that happens a lot.
They've crossed over. You know what I mean? To certain parts where a lot of sports podcasts are not going to be able to.
Something I thought about that I haven't heard people, and maybe I just haven't seen it. But I'm a big fan of the offensive. I love O-line play. I think it's fascinating. Not everyone does. A lot of people don't. But already, as of right now, is Jason Kelsey the most popular offensive lineman in NFL history?
Maybe.
Right?
I put him up there. Anthony Munoz was very popular. I felt like
you think he was this popular?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, nationally.
That's what I mean. Just not on talent. Kelsey's going to be Jason Kelsey will be a Hall of Fame center, but it's like just on popularity. I'm like the only things, and I still don't think they hit. I thought of Orlando Pace when he's at Ohio State. Was very popular, like in college, not in the pros even. He was great in the pros, but remember they had like Pace getting like the pancakes and all that. Like I was like, he kind of like crossed over, and then I thought of Big Nate Newton, because of John Madden.
Yeah, but no, he's probably the most famous offensive lineman, dude. That's
like
crazy.
Ever, which is crazy. And I think it's like going to continue to grow.
Yeah, especially if he's probably going to retire, but
I hope he does.
Yeah, because he had a good season, but eventually he's going to not be a good season, and I don't want to see him go out like that.
Yeah,
and he's a little dude too, so I don't want to see that, and I just think he can continue to blow up in this podcast world, man, because it's a great show. So.
Mm-hmm. By the way, though, He is like he's a big dude for normal people,
Right.
but he's little for old linemen. But did you see the athletic ability he showed? Like he has his shirt off, so I didn't know until I saw like a closer up angle like a day or two after the game when he hops out the suite. It's all ice down there.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
And he hops out. He almost slips, and he's drunk as a skunk. 36-year-old torn MCL, and he like quickly recovers. Like you wouldn't really notice it if you're not watching, but I saw in like Tim's.
Yeah.
Like so he recovers, does all that, chugs the beer, and then when he like hopped back in, I'm like on a torn MCL, he's 300 pounds doing that. And I'm like, I know people are like, what? I'm like, that's freaky athlete stuff. What he's doing.
Yeah.
After just playing a full NFL season at center, and you know how banged up he is, all those I'm like, it just was I always love those small reminders of like, oh,
they're different.
yeah, there's athletes, and he's
Yeah.
one of them. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's a beautiful thing to look at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just, you gotta respect greatness, man. And these guys are great, man. They're here for a reason. And, you know, even some of these guys we were talking about for this game with Seattle, New England, man, like we talked about it on the podcast. So many, there's Hall of Fame players, definitely a handful of Hall of Fame players in this game. So many just great NFL players, man, and all pro players at this time, Pro Bowl players at this time, just going head to head, man. And we were excited in 2015 to watch this, Deremy, man, as Young Bucks, but we were definitely even more excited to talk about this game, talk about it on the podcast. We wanted to jump in on YouTube, watch the fourth quarter with y'all. So we definitely appreciate y'all jumping on with us and doing something new with us that we're trying to break out. So we're hoping you enjoyed it.
No, definitely. And please like, subscribe, follow our YouTube channel. We're going to be doing more of this, in 2024, where having the podcast, separate those feeds, where the podcast feed is that, and then kind of having the YouTube channel be like a rewatch companion. Just things to try out. We're always trying to reinvent and always trying to be better and give you guys better content. So, and also talk about fun things like these games, but fun things like Jason Kelsey being drunk at the Bill Stadium and going crazy. Like we could do it all. So
that's what we do.
We connect the past to the present, and the present has been pretty wild recently. So
yeah,
but stay with us. We got a lot of different great games coming up, great anniversaries, and new episode topics and types that we want to pull out for you guys. So 2024 is gonna be a lot of fun for Bigger in the Game with Deremy and Jose. So thank you guys for watching the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 49 with us. Take care.
Peace.